You judge them, right?
Yeah
You judge
lah.
them. You say like, you're so lame. You all don't know our lingo, right? Then now you don't know Gen Z lingo, right?
Absolutely not.
Skibidi, you know what that means?
Nope.
Yeah, I also don't know what that's means.
Hi, I'm Azura.
And I'm Germaine.
And welcome to another episode of Clarity's
Hush Podcast. I don't think we've done an episode just you and me.
Have we never?
No, I think this is the
I don't
first
think I've
time.
ever said that. Like,
Yeah.
Welcome to...
It's new today. We have a very special arrangement. We've got two very immature people sitting on this couch today. And we're talking about something that I think is quite apt for everyone. It's about maturity and what maturity means to you. Is it about your age? Is it about the way you think? Is it about the way you carry yourself? What do you think means maturity to you?
I don't think it's age.
Okay?
Probably people relate it to age. You know what I mean? Because it's like an easy measure, right?
Like the older you are, the more mature you are. You know, that's
Correct,
what
but
they say.
we always say, and we've learned, probably the hard way as well, that growing old is mandatory, but growing up is optional.
That's true.
And some people don't grow up.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. So age is definitely bottom of everything.
I think it's bottom, but I mean, you can't discount certain things like your prefrontal cortex developing at 25.
Yeah,
You
we
can't
talk about
discount
this
that,
a
right?
lot. Like, we talk about, if you're listening right now and you're below the age of 25, your brain is not fully developed.
Yeah.
So if you fuck up, don't be so hard on yourself. It's because your brain is not there yet. Honestly, once you hit 25, it's
Life
like,
is a lot better.
yeah, it's like a spark goes on in your brain and you're like, I'm not so stupid anymore.
Do you think then
Yeah.
that people should not make important life decisions below 25?
Like get married? Oh, I do think so, right? Because you're not there yet. But also a lot of people younger than 25 are way beyond their years. And we also know a lot of people who are in their 40s or 50s that still have a very youthful spirit.
Yes.
So it's not about age. Maybe it's about attitude or it's about mindset. And we'll get into that. I think that we're still in you're 30 now, sorry. I'm still in my 20s. Azura is 30. Do you think that you've completely matured as a person? Do you think you're mature?
I think I'm okay. I mean, I think I'm a child.
A bit.
Yeah.
In what ways do you think you are like a child?
How about you tell me?
In what ways I think I'm a child?
No, in what ways do you think I'm a child? Because you're around me so much, right?
I think that in terms of, understanding the world, you are quite mature
Thank
because
you.
you've had to go through a lot in your life. But in terms of relational attachments, you are almost like your inner child hasn't matured. Sorry, is that too real? I feel like I just dropped a true bomb on Azura.
Carry on.
Welcome to therapy, by the
Thank
way.
you.
So in order to heal from your attachment stuff, no, but it's true. You have the inner child in you that, really wants to be loved, really wants to have a secure attachment.
Yep.
And it's very hard to find that within yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, that's how I see you. Yeah.
I think I appreciate that I see certain things from a very childlike point of view.
Yeah.
Because I think in that sense, I don't take life too seriously, you know what I mean? And I'm aware of those bits, right?
You are okay to have your life be out of your control,
Yes.
which is wild to me.
But like, there's no such thing as it being in control, you know?
There is.
Yes.
If you plan everything right, it will be in control. It's
No,
in
you
your
can't.
control.
There are certain things that you can't control. So
We're
I like
so
to be
different.
prepared for that.
Why are we friends?
Okay, like Germaine likes to be prepared for every scenario. She
Yeah.
wants to be prepared for any scenario.
I like to be in control.
Yes. I, however, feel like whatever will be, will be. And if something's going to fuck up, I can't do anything about it. So I like to be in a position where I don't have to stress over something going wrong.
Yeah, I think Azura, she has a really, like a very childlike side to her, but not in like a childish sense, but in a sense where she sees the world in a very positive light. You know how as a child, you haven't really had too much traumatic experiences. You're like, wow, everything's like, wow. Then as an adult, you're like a little bit more depressed kind of thing. Yeah. So I think I'm a bit more on the other side of the spectrum. It's very strange because growing up, I started working very young. And in my early days in MediaCorp, my boss would tell me, like when I was 20 years old, Germaine, like, actually, you think well beyond your years.
Okay.
And I used to take it as a compliment. I'm like, wow, I'm so mature. But then I realized that in a professional aspect, I am mature.
Which is a good thing, no?
But in emotional maturity,
Right.
I'm like a baby. I'm a child. Like when I throw a tantrum, I throw a tantrum. I don't know how to control my emotions. I don't know how to regulate them. So you could be mature in some aspects, but like a child in others.
Have you ever heard, like, as a child, okay, so you just gave an example of at work, right? But maybe, like, slightly before that or anything like that, while you were growing up, did you hear people saying, like, oh, you're so mature for your age?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us hear that. Sometimes it's because I feel like when I look at someone, I feel that sometimes when, you get forced to grow up a little bit faster, people get a little bit more mature in that sense. But I think, right, now I'm starting to see it. I think people who had to grow up a little bit quicker because of circumstances, I think they are a little bit more childlike in other aspects because they probably have had to take care of people for so long that another part of them just wants to be taken care of.
Yeah, I like that. I know she's talking about herself, by the way. If you
Actually, I'm not, love.
But there are so many different ways of expressing maturity, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm professional, I hold myself well, I'm confident. But maturity also is something as simple as being able to set healthy boundaries.
Yep.
Like, for example, right, let's say you're a single girl.
Okay.
And then you go on a date. Then this guy kind of like treats you like shit.
Okay.
Like, he does the bare minimum. We've talked about this.
Yes.
A healthy boundary would be, I don't like him, I'm not going to see him again. Not knowing to set a healthy boundary would be, I just see him again more. Like, what's it to me? It's okay
do it for the plot.
Yeah, like, it's okay lah.
Yeah.
That is being immature. It's okay to say no, basically. You don't have to just please others, but you have to please yourself.
I think that's something that a lot of people learn a lot later on in life.
It's hard to say no.
I think especially in your early 20s, you want to please.
Yeah.
You don't really know what the boundaries are. You're figuring it out for yourself. And you only learn through experimentations, right? You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah, and emotional maturity, like I said, I'm very bad at. I'm still learning.
It's okay.
Yeah.
One step a day.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
I'm still learning about that, but I have to learn to take responsibility of my emotions. My emotions are not the problems of other people to solve. And I need to learn how to regulate them and calm myself down and not go batshit crazy all the time. I think prioritizing your health, your well-being, right? Like, for example, I have a very early call time tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have to go to work at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Should I really go out and drink tonight? Maybe not.
Why should you look at me, actually?
No, I'm looking at the camera.
Oh.
Maybe not. Right?
Yes.
But when you're younger, you'd be like, you only live once.
Yeah, let's go. It's okay. I can
Yeah.
survive for 2 hours. Never mind.
Yeah, 2 hours of sleep. Oh, then you get super, super sick. That is also not being very mature about your decisions.
Correct.
Right?
Aside from that, I think being financially responsible. We've spoken about this a couple of times.
This one is tough. I did a video recently on my TikTok.
I saw.
And it was like how much I spent in the month of September.
I saw.
And people shat on me so hard for it.
Why?
Because like I said, like, I had a lot of health problems. So I had to spend 4 or 5K settling my health problems. Then like I was really, mentally down.
Yeah.
So I bought myself business
Yes.
class tickets to Tokyo.
Yes.
Then at the end of the video, I was like, I'm broke. Don't invite me out.
Yeah.
Someone commented, if you are broke, how can you still buy business class tickets? And I was like, but I am broke. Y'all just don't know. I really am
I
broke.
understand. I completely understand. Some people are just irritating.
No lah, but it's true. I shouldn't have bought those tickets. That's being financially irresponsible. But would I rather have a mental breakdown in economy or in business?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I am a firm believer of you do what you gotta do.
Okay, but that being said, being financially responsible is a sign of maturity.
Yes.
So like, for example, I spend all that money to go fix my health issues
Yes.
instead of just ignoring them and, fingers crossed, pray for the best.
You can't do that.
No, you could, but you might end up with more health issues in the future.
Which will cost you more.
Exactly.
Yes.
So yes, being financially responsible.
And I think also, okay, maybe because you don't have much to pay for or anything like that, you don't have much responsibilities. But, especially when you're younger, you're like living paycheck to paycheck. You get it, you're like, woohoo!
Yeah. Ballin', we're ballin'.
We're ballin'! And then after 10 days, you're like, I'm eating grass.
Yeah. So we've talked about this in our previous episodes about saving money, being financially responsible.
Yeah.
You can go and listen to those as well. And I think one of the most important things that signals maturity is when you fill your own cup. So I was actually talking to my therapist about this the other day, about some people in my life, no one in this room, who tend to fill their cup using outside validation.
Right.
So like attention from external forces,
Right.
Compliments, right? Adoration. But maturity is when you fuel yourself from the inside out. Because you are enough, you give that back to the world.
Yeah. I do think it's only natural that
To want that?
Yes. And I think to a certain extent, it's okay because I think that's how life works, right? Like, it's energies, I think, it's not transactional, but
It's
I
like
feel
yin
yours.
and yang?
Correct.
Okay.
Like, whether you like it or not, I think you receive energy from people and you give out your own as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think to a certain extent, it's okay. But I think if it goes beyond that, like, for example, you can't see the value in yourself unless someone says it, then that's a problem.
Yeah. So think about that. I think reflect on that, in your own lives. I think for Azura, I mean, I know her pretty well. And I think that she has had to grow up at a very young age due to, certain life experiences. Do you feel that when you were at that stage growing up, you realized like, oh shit, I have to be an adult?
Yes.
Or did you only realize that when you became an adult?
I think when I was young, I did realize that I think certain adults in my life could not assume roles as adults. And so I had to not behave as a child, or at least not further add on to their problems.
But you were a child.
Yes, I was.
Why couldn't you behave as a child?
I did not want to cause adults who are already having problems more problems.
That's not the responsibility of a child. Yeah, some truth bombs dropping here. Yeah, I mean, it's not, right? But you felt that you had to assume the role of a parent. And that's what happens in a lot of parent-child interactions. Oftentimes, like even when you're fully grown, right? You're an adult, your parent is obviously an adult. Sometimes children assume the roles of parents, and your parents can sometimes act like children in the way they talk, in the way they handle things. Like one day you wake up and like you're nagging your parent, you're telling them like, don't do this, don't believe everything you see on Facebook, don't get scammed. Like you have become the parent.
Have you seen those videos people make on TikTok where they're calling their parents and finally having the chance to be like, where are you and what time is it?
It's late. Are you coming home?
Yeah, like, are you coming home? Okay, I think two things here, right? I think for me, because I had to assume the role, or I thought I had to assume the role, or just be less of a problem when I was a child, I think when I got slightly older, let's say teenage years and maybe early adulthood, I think I acted out because I've had to carry all that weight. I think I acted out, and that was detrimental for me because it came to a point where, okay, now I'm old enough and you are old enough, or all adults involved are, basically your problems have sort of passed, right? Or it's been a while, and I think I acted out in such a way where I was just making very poor decisions. I was just fuck it.
It almost like backfired on you in a way.
And I then had to learn from there to fuck everything else and focus on myself. Yeah. However, I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, and she also had to grow up pretty quick. And she was just telling me, she has adults in her life where she still feels like they are hurting themselves till today. And this is where, suddenly you are at a place where, like, I'm the child and I should not have to parent you, but seeing you hurt yourself all the time makes me feel so guilty and I don't know what to do. Yeah.
I think that kind of dynamic will change throughout your life. Like in some years, you may be super mature. Then in some years, you're really struggling. You may act out like a child. I think we shouldn't judge ourselves for it. I think for me, like, I don't really know what made people see me as like, oh, you think so well beyond your years. I don't really know what happened to me. I haven't reflected on my life enough.
Okay.
But I think living on my own, and you had that experience too, right? Living on your own in a foreign country really kind of makes you like responsible for your own safety. It's like you really have to watch out for yourself.
Yes, because suddenly you're like, I really have no one but myself.
Yeah.
And if anything happens, it's on me.
Correct.
Like, I think when you're in a comfortable environment, you're a little bit more like, anything happens, I'll just call
there's
someone.
mom, there's dad, there's whoever to fall back on.
Correct.
But when you're by yourself, I think that really makes you, like, you have to grow up. You have to learn how to do things for yourself. For me, I think what's interesting is that, even though I'm dating someone who is slightly older, I was having a discussion with friends, and Andrew has two brothers.
Okay.
They're very, very close, the three of them.
They're older than him.
He's the middle child, and then he's got an older and younger brother. Individually, they are super mature, very successful people. But when they three of them come together, they're like children. They're like children. Then when their mother is around, right, then they will complain to their mom, be like, oh, who bullied me? Who bullied me? No, like
this is happening now?
Like, not in a childish way, but in a like, it's almost like they regress to being childlike.
No,
and
I
I think that happens oftentimes when you reconnect
Yeah.
with people who you knew as a child
Yeah.
or you've known for a very long time.
Yeah.
It almost makes you regress to like you were that age.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
That's how I
it's
feel.
very nice, no?
It's cute. It's
Yeah.
cute. Yeah, I do think it is.
Are you like that with your brother?
Not really. We are quite like serious.
I know.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we're quite like serious, I guess. Yeah.
I also think that people should not be too hard on themselves. Like, we always say like growth is not linear. Like, it could be one step forward and two step back. But it's still growth. Like, you may be like regressing, but it's still growth. Because I think, you see, especially when we're in our early 20s, we would not listen to anyone because we thought we were grown up and that we knew everything. So I think maturity, right? Or like growing up, thinking that, when I get to a certain age, I'll probably know something better. I don't think that happens because you're always experiencing something for the first time.
Yeah.
No matter what age it is, right?
Like you said, you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to always be the adult. And there are certain people in your life that can bring out the inner child in you. I mean, surprisingly, I think, our PDs like put this note here. Do you feel like dating an older businessman, you have to act serious? Do you feel pressured to act serious? To be honest, he's much more childish than I am.
Okay.
He's more unserious than I am.
Yes.
In like, in our own lives.
Can I tell y'all a story? So one day Andrew says, Azura, do you have a cape? I was like, sorry. I said, sorry. Oh, because, she's always angry. So I was thinking if I put a cape on her when she's angry, she becomes super angry.
Oh my god.
I died, by the way.
Is this stupid shit that he sees on Instagram? He like finds so funny. But yeah, he gets very, he really acts like a child. Like you wouldn't, yeah. So I feel very comfortable with him, I don't know how to say this, but I was talking to my girlfriend about it. If you're with a guy that you really, really trust, or your partner or whatever, it doesn't have to be a guy, and you're the more like, you're the younger one, or you're the, slightly more beta one. If you are able to switch off your brain when you're with them, it's like such a good sign. Yeah. It's such a green flag.
Yeah. Like suddenly I just become stupid, Like, like it's a good thing.
Correct.
Yes.
You can trust them. It means you trust them and you trust them to take care of you.
Yeah. My next question, following the PD's question,
okay,
is when you're around his friends, for example, or like his working friends, do you feel the need to like not be seen as a 20-ish-year-old?
I think if it's a work situation for him, I will, I do my best to represent him in a good way. I don't act out like a child. Of course, I have to hold myself in a mature way, right? Because I represent him as well. Yeah. But similarly, he also represents me. So yeah, probably. I think our PDs also had a very interesting question, which is that we both work in a youth radio station. You work at RIA, I work at 987. We talk to kids all the time. We have to stay relevant to kids. Do we feel like we have to stay young? I think this is the thing that a lot of people, we can't stop ourselves from growing older. Yeah. But do we feel pressured to stay young?
Years ago, right, when I was a lot younger, I had this thought. Because I think I remember this very clearly. Like, I was thinking about adults or just older people who didn't understand what we were talking about at that point or the language that we were using. And I was thinking about it at that point, right? I thought to myself,
you judge them, right?
Yeah,
you judge them. You say like, you're so lame. You all don't know our lingo, right? Then now you don't know Gen Z lingo, right?
Absolutely not.
Skibidi, you know what that means?
No.
Yeah, I also don't know what that means.
Roughly, we roughly know, right?
Not really.
Not really. I don't think I try to be young. I've just accepted that I'm like that lah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I do sometimes feel like, oh my god, am I out of touch? Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Because social media moves so quickly these days.
Yep.
A lot of things, I feel like when I talk to teenagers, 16 and younger,
okay,
I feel like I'm very uncool.
Actually, we're quite cool in our day lah. They know or not actually?
They don't know lah.
Okay.
They don't know. Because to them, when you're a teenage girl, you're like,
yes,
very judgy, So teenage girls are the worst. We've been there.
Yeah.
We were the worst. So
yeah.
I do get that. Actually, can I just say, I wasn't really eavesdropping, okay?
Okay.
Because I was at the same table as one of my colleagues and our boss. And one of my colleagues, who is slightly older, was lamenting to our boss and saying like, boss, like I'm really worried that I may be getting too old for 987.
Okay.
Then I was like, I was there lah. I wasn't eavesdropping. I can be part of the conversation, but I was eating, right? Then, this person was saying, they do feel like that kind of pressure to like try to relate to the kids and try to do things to connect with the kids more. But I think there comes a certain time where you just can't force it.
But then again, right? Remember when you were a child, I don't know about you, but okay, let's say 16-year-old. Did you not think that As in, you wanted to grow up, right? You know, at that age where you look at people slightly older and you wanted to be there because you were just tired of being a child. And you wanted to be older, like you just wanted to grow up quick.
So you would aspire to that kind of thing?
So maybe to a certain extent, they don't expect you to be behaving like them either. Because, you know what I mean?
Actually, when I was 17, and I was in Ngee Ann Poly, mass communication, we had a radio DJ come and do a talk in our school. I still remember her name because it's a very unique name.
Who's it?
Jackie Thibodeau.
Okay.
Have you ever heard this name?
No.
Yeah, so she used to be at a different company.
Okay.
Right? She was a radio DJ. And I was like, wow, that's such a cool name, right?
Okay.
And I was like, I want to be her one day. I want to be her, like a radio DJ. Like, what? That is so cool.
Look at you.
Yeah, and I forgot about that.
Right.
And as I was reading this episode, I kind of remembered that, wow, I looked up to her as someone, because she came and gave a talk, right?
Right.
Which is what we do these days.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that, actually there's like a little girl that could be like, wow, I want to be her one day.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Are you sure? We call her problems,
Sometimes.
So yeah, you never know, right? And I think what you said really makes sense, that they don't expect you to act like their age. Yeah. I think it's really sweet how, for a lot of people, they feel that they can be completely safe and be like a child with their loved ones.
Yeah.
Usually with their partner. Someone on Reddit actually said, I become a kid again with my boyfriend. Being around...
You wrote this,
That's kid. Actually a bit, okay. I read, it really sounds like me. Being around him fills me with childlike wonder and innocence. He calls me princess. Aww. And I can't help but melt and feel giddy. I feel like a toddler around him, but in a positive way. Maybe it's because he makes me feel safe. Or maybe, I had to grow up too quickly and I missed out on that kind of like childlike phase.
Aww.
Yeah, that's very cute.
That's very nice.
There's also... I think something that, okay. You know how in a relationship, right, you have couples vocabulary?
Yes.
Do y'all have, what words do you guys have? Tell me. So cute! Can I say that?
Yes.
Our PD said that they call each other poopy.
Very
Like Poopy. That's so cute.
Could you
Poopy.
ever? I could never.
No, but I call him like baby,
Which is fine.
Or like BB.
Which is fine.
Baby. You just have inside vocabulary, inside jokes. It's like baby talk.
Yes. Or I think like certain words they used to refer to certain things. For example, like things that
what?
you only understand.
Like what?
I don't know. I can't think of one.
You say what?
I'm just saying lah.
I do think baby talk is something that a lot of people, if you're not in a relationship, you'll find it cringy. But if you're in a relationship, you'll be like, okay lah, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you're not, you'll be like, wow, that's damn disgusting, the way that y'all talk to each other. And you will never let anyone hear the way that you talk to each other. Like, if anyone at Andrew's work heard how he talks to me, I think they will have an embolism.
Yeah, let's never.
Like, sometimes he'll be talking to me, right? And then he'll get on a phone call and be like, yes. Yes. Yeah. The switch is so violent.
It's quite funny,
Yeah, but it's cute lah. It just means that they feel safe with you.
And I think, when we talk about maturity, right? When you feel like you cannot be mature enough for a situation, I think maturity also is knowing that you can't be mature enough for a situation and that you need to fall back on someone else.
Like, you need help.
Yes.
You can't do it yourself, kind of thing.
Or I think for people to ask for help is already tough. But I think for someone to ask for an opinion or to ask for someone to make a decision for them or just to, vet the decision that they've made, I think that's a lot harder for a lot of people. Because you always want to think that you know what's going on or that you have it under control. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I think maturity could also be that I don't actually know what I'm doing. Please tell me if this is correct.
No, you're absolutely right. I think society correlates maturity with being in control, right? Because being in control means you are stable, you are responsible, and these adults who are in control are the leaders. They're the alphas. So it's always being seen as like,
You got your shit together.
Yeah, you got your shit together. But I do think that, like you said, sometimes being playful, it doesn't mean that you are less competent. Yeah. It's like if you're at a job, right? And the guy who's always like joking around, laughing around, or the guy who's like really, really, very stoic and very just like dead face serious about his job. Who would you trust more?
The person who does good work. Like, I don't care how you are,
okay.
but the person who does good work.
You make a good boss.
Thank you.
I think you grew up in, like you said, amongst a lot of adults who maybe didn't act in such a mature way. But I do think that we should cut parents some slack. I like seeing parents like let loose.
Yes.
You know, for my birthday recently, I took my parents out to karaoke and I forgot how much they love karaoke.
So cute.
Firstly, I think they were a bit drunk lah, okay?
Okay.
Like literally at dinner, right? Sorry, you weren't in town.
I know.
You would have been there, but at dinner, right? Because like, you know, everyone's having dinner and like passing shots around the table. At some point, I asked my mom, she's across from me, right? I'm like, Mommy, are you okay? She looks at me, right? And she's like, I'm drunk. And she never drinks, right? She never drinks. My parents are so responsible. They never drink. They don't have any vices.
Right.
Like, they take care of their health so well.
Yeah.
But that night, I think they really needed a break.
Yeah.
And I also needed a break. So we all let loose. Then we went karaoke. And my dad, he was busting out the moves. He used to take dance classes with my mom.
You're joking.
When they were young. You know, like
Yeah.
cha-cha. You call it cha-cha, right? He was busting out the cha-cha. He was like, yeah, cha-cha-cha. Then, you know, some karaoke, they have like the mic that stands and then you can like swivel it around. Oh, he was on that thing singing like all his old music, like just having the time of his life.
So cute.
It was very healing for me
Yes.
to see them enjoy themselves. Yeah, that was really nice.
That's so cute.
It's okay to see them act like children sometimes.
No, it really is. And you know, like, I'm not going to judge you. I enjoy and I appreciate when I see parents like leave their kids at home and then go for a night out. Like, you do you, right?
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, kids need emotional stability.
For sure. Yeah. I think a lot of parents maybe didn't learn that and they might never, but it's up to us to kind of like heal our inner child because they really can't do anything for you, right? And for me, I'm just happy to see them happy. And actually, like after karaoke, just side note, right? So Andrew was like, oh, let's bring them to the club.
Okay.
Right?
Did they go?
They've never been in a I don't know.
Right.
They probably have never been in a club.
Okay.
So I bring them in, right? And they're like mind blown.
Really?
Firstly, it's a very busy night.
Okay.
Okay, so like the lines outdoor. My dad's like, wow. He was like, I didn't know pub these days so busy. I was like, Daddy, it's not a pub. It's called a club. Then they go in, right? And it's like, you know, it's like shoulder to shoulder, like bumping people and stuff. They were like, oh my God, like,
is this where you've been?
Yeah, this is where you've been for the last 2 years. Like, the music is so loud. But it's like, sometimes you gotta show them,
Yes.
you know, a bit of your life
Yeah.
to help them understand.
Yes.
Okay, then they show you a bit of their lives. Yeah, anyways, they were like,
were they there for
"Children
long?"
and I-" No. Oh. They just toured and they left. I think the music was too loud for them. They are still quite old. But yes, there are a lot of, I think, adults that do childish things, but in a cute way. So just for fun, let's look at some of the most immature and childlike things that adults have done recently. Someone here on Vice actually said she's 30 years old. She says, I spent New Year's in a karaoke den dressed up as the Yellow Power Ranger. That's very childish, man.
Oh, that's okay lah.
I think that's okay.
You do you, right?
Yeah.
You're happy, can already.
That's quite fun.
It's not bad.
Eloise, who is 21, says, I have a knack for taking things that are not mine.
I'm sorry? That's stealing.
This is kleptomania. She says, especially from my housemates, when I could just go buy them by myself, like shampoo, conditioner, I'll just take theirs.
That's immature.
That's immature.
I think that's immature.
What do y'all think?
Because that's
PD
not being
names.
responsible. That's not being a good person.
Being a thief.
Yes. And you're like inconveniencing others.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Joey is 37.
Okay.
And Joey says the most immature thing I've done recently was making an argument with my girlfriend out of nothing.
Huh?
I just wanted her to see if she actually cared about me or not.
That's psychotic.
Borderline.
Why would you do that? That's like testing someone's love. It's a bit...
Unnecessary. That one is you got your own issues that you need to sort out.
Is
It's
that
coming from
immature?
somewhere.
Maybe it's emotional immaturity. It's coming from like insecurity or something like that.
Do you think emotional unavailability is emotional immaturity?
Oh my God, I don't have enough brain cells for this. Emotional unavailability. Yeah. Because if you're emotionally mature, you will be able to be there emotionally
Correct.
for someone else.
Correct.
Okay, I put my last brain cell up for that. I'll tell you something that Andrew did that was super immature.
Okay.
And I still tease him about it till this day. Very early on, before we were boyfriend and girlfriend,
Yes.
we were just dating. We went on a trip
To where?
to, I don't know, somewhere in Thailand.
Okay.
And then like, you know, went to the pool and he took like some really nice photos for me, right? Really very nice. I
Okay,
was
okay.
like, wow. I was like, oh,
Not bad.
this one's a keeper. Can take nice photos. I don't know who trained him, but thank you to them.
Yes, correct.
So then after that, right, like, you know, we were back in the room and I was like, hey, can you airdrop me the photos?
Okay.
He refused to airdrop me the photos.
I'm sorry, why?
He was like, oh, I'll do it later. And then later I was like, can you airdrop me the photos? He was like, no, I'll do it later.
No, I said like, why?
It was a test.
For what?
He was testing me to see like if I'm so crazy that I want the photos. But yes, I think, at the end of the day, we sidebar a little bit. But at the
Yes.
end of the day, maturity comes with so many different things, right? It's not just about your age.
Yeah.
Definitely, as you age, you should be getting more life experiences. And those should be making you a
Make
bit more,
better decisions.
bit more balanced, bit more stable, responsible. If you're not growing with your age, that might be a problem. Like if you're growing older, but
And not growing up.
Yeah, not growing up. That may be something to think about. But yes, you don't always have to be so super, super serious all the time. And like
It's true.
cannot take a joke, cannot laugh at yourself,
Yeah.
cannot be seen as weak or vulnerable, cannot be
Yeah.
seen as needing help.
Yeah.
Because all those, they're not about like maturity.
No, they're not. And they're not about how strong you are either, It does not make you any less great, any less strong, any less established. And I don't think you need to be mature all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay to do stupid things. And it's okay to behave like a child or, to just take life not as seriously, right? But I think it boils down to when it's the important things, can you handle that maturely? When it's things that you're supposed to show up for,
Yeah.
or when it's, emotions that you have to deal with, can you do that? And that's, I think, a show of maturity,
Yeah. I think maturity is about having a strong set of ethics and morals. It's about being respectful to others. And that's really what it is about. Yeah.
And I think at every stage of your life, you will feel like, oh, I know better now. Like, I'm smarter now. I'm more mature now. I know better now. But I think you really don't till you're past that. And then you look back. That's why at every stage you look back, you're like, what the hell am I doing? So I think it'll save you a lot of trouble if you sometimes don't focus on, I know what I'm doing. I'm big enough. I'm adult enough.
No, definitely. A lot of us talk about healing your inner child or nurturing your inner child. And a lot of us can't find closure. And one exercise that I found very useful
Okay.
that I do with my coach is to almost hypnotize yourself to that moment in time where you felt anguish as a child. Right? Like, let's
Okay.
say there could be many moments, but
That's so
let's say,
uncomfortable though.
oh, it's super uncomfortable. You always cry. Like, you
Right.
always cry. But
Right.
it has healed my life in so many ways.
Really?
Sometimes you need someone to bring you to that moment and talk you into that moment. And what you do is basically, if you're listening and you're a girl or you're a guy or whatever, right? Like, I'm a girl. So I'm like a big sister to myself as
Okay.
that child. And I
Okay.
go back to that moment and I understand how that, my
That child's
younger self
feeling,
is
yeah.
feeling. And I validate and say, it's okay to feel this way. You are right to feel that way. And you tell her it's going to be okay, right? You're going to grow up. It's going to be okay. You kind of like go through the years with that knowledge of it's going to be okay all the way back to the present.
Oh, okay.
It usually kind of like brings you a bit of closure to that child inside of you. Sometimes it's not about external validation, like other people telling you, don't worry, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But you really need to find it within yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So try that. Yeah.
Wow.
Ah.
I think at the end of the day, we have both gone through quite a bit of stuff and we've both tried to work on them. And I think that's the important part, right? Like you try and work on it, that you go through and put yourself through such uncomfortable, like growth is uncomfortable. It's very, very uncomfortable. And whatever Germaine just described, it sounds very
Oh,
uncomfortable.
it's super uncomfortable, but you need to go through that.
You do. So thank you for listening. And if
Yeah.
you like the episode with so many more, please listen to them. You can follow us on Instagram at itsclarity.co. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to Apple Podcasts.
Yes, and we're on YouTube as well. If you want us to talk about anything else, please leave them in the comments. If not, we'll see you on the next episode of Hush Podcast. Bye. We love you guys. Sorry, PD, when do you get married? After 25.
okay.
She's good.
Would you like a weighted blanket?
I've tried that,
It does not work.
For many years. No, it does help me. But now I sleep with someone else in my bed. So I can't weigh him down as well. He has no anxiety. Why I weigh him down? I just weigh myself.